we just launched this new article on how to set really good kick-ass goals. And one of the things we want to do for the trail runners is help them ensure that when they're completing those sort of templates that are online, that you've got the best information in order to complete those templates. So one of the things we want to talk about is just some of the keys within that goal setting template so you really get the most out of it. And there's just a couple of really important tricks to this particular question. Number one, you've got to step into the future state that you want, or actually having achieved the goal. So I was recently working with a triathlete who said that he wanted to complete an Ironman triathlon. That was his first outcome. And so I said, well, let's just step into the future state. I want you to imagine you're at the finishing line, just completed that Ironman triathlon. And so he stepped into that future place and he said, it's not as good as I hoped it would be. Because this guy's already a triathlete, he's already quite good. So the key thing is when he experienced it, he realized it wasn't aspirational enough. And these two things are really go hand in hand. What you need to do is have an awesome aspirational goal that you experience in advance. That's setting a vision that you have experienced and you know you want. So when we actually dug into this triathlete's future goal, we spoke about, what is he doing that Ironman for? And he said, well, the reason I'm doing that Ironman is because I want to go to the World Championships. And I was like, World Championships? Are you serious? I said, are you good enough to go to the World Champs? He said, yeah, I'm good enough to go there. I thought, mate, that's amazing. So what would it be like if you went there? He goes, mate, that'd be awesome. Just be amazing. It'd make all the other triathlons I've done worthwhile. It'd mean I've reached the pinnacle of the sport. I said, tell me about what it's going to be like when you are running down that finishing chute. And he goes, mate, I'll just have almost utter relief. I'll be so happy. I'll have my family there and they'll be just patting me on the back. And I'll just have this real deep sense of satisfaction that I've achieved something great. So in the template, what we put in is the sensory evidence of what he's going to achieve, which is this running down the finishing line, seeing a particular time up above him, seeing his family with smiles on their faces that are a certain type of smile. So when you're completing the template, the first thing is step into the future state. Get a sense of what it's going to be like and make sure it's aspirational. So you have an ideal outcome, which is some sort of goal. In the trail runner's example, it's going to be an ultra marathon or a marathon or some amazing trail run you want to do anywhere in the world. And now you're going to pick something that's quite aspirational, that's going to be an amazing experience. It's very important to understand, though, what you're doing that for. Like, what are you actually going into the future for and doing these amazing races? So a great example is a few years ago I did the Atacama Crossing, which is that 250k ultra in Chile. And I had this pretty ridiculous day where I just faded with my physical energy and just got to this point where I was just totally destroyed. And I had nothing left, I had blisters on my feet, I could hardly speak anymore, I was getting a bit delirious. And I just had one of those like muse moments where you just sort of stop and you look around and you go like, where the hell am I? What am I doing here? And I just sort of said, what the hell am I doing here? Like, I'm in the middle of nowhere for some bloody reason running across the desert and I just don't get it anymore. And I remember thinking that the thing that actually came to me in that far off place was that I do this for a much greater reason than just finishing the race. I do this because I want to redefine the boundaries of who I am. I do this because by me achieving new and great things all the time, I'm learning, I'm refining my skill and mastering new techniques and becoming a better person. So when you link that particular deeper level of intention with an aspirational goal, you start to get some pretty awesome performance. So when you're looking at that, what is my deeper intention? Think of it like that. Like, what else are you getting by doing this? It's a pretty deep sort of place to go, but let me tell you, it's a source of great motivation. Like, if you know you're doing something for a much greater purpose than just running, then you're really leveraging your performance. And models are people who have been before you, standing on the shoulders of giants. There's no point reinventing the wheel. Like, there are people who have been before you who are amazing trail runners who have actually done a hell of a lot in understanding of technique, of tactics, of physical conditioning, of understanding the mental state, and of how to use the people around you or your social connections to leverage your performance. These, you can call them mentors if you like. Even if you don't know them, you can harness their understanding of achievement. What I tend to do is pick models who have done what I want to do as far as trail running, but also who have achieved other great things far above and beyond what they'd ever done previously. So there had to be some sort of great shift in them in order to transform what they'd previously done and become something greater. You don't just have to pick someone who's a trail runner. Pick someone who's a swimmer. Pick someone who's an executive in a big company. Pick someone who's just a general inspiration. And with the questions that I put in the template, what they're designed to do is harness what that person would give you if they were present. So if you know them, those questions are almost a bit easier to sort of answer, but they're just designed to sort of leverage what that mentor or what that model would do for you if they were here. And they're just awesome because they uncover things about yourself that maybe you didn't realize you should be doing. Things like, what advice would they give you if they were present? Or what would they tell you that you don't already know? That's a nice question. It's actually getting you to think about things that perhaps you think are true, but maybe not. Challenging your own assumptions. So, I don't know if you've ever got on this path towards some great trail run that you want to do, this big event, and it starts costing you other parts of your life, like your social life. Because it's going to take so much time actually training day in, day out. You're going to be tired after training. It's going to cost you socially. It's going to cost you performance of work if you don't set it up in a way that's right. And I remember doing, when I was preparing for Atacama, I set it up such that my partner and I, we didn't have any conflicts. She was studying for medicine and I was training really hard. So we aligned the study and the training so that it wasn't a big drain on our relationship. And that was just absolutely critical to me getting there, because if not, this big whack of time, training 100Ks plus a week, it was just going to cost me too much. So because we actually set it up in a way that would allow us to do that, the consequences of my doing this race, I never felt like other things were suffering. And that was really important. So what you're looking for is when you think about between now and what you've got to do in order to get your goal and how you're thinking about doing it, the training, the commitment of time, if you're raising money for charity and things like this, make sure that the way you set that up, it's congruent for all the other things you want to achieve in life as well. That's about life balance, right? And the 5 elements of success are technical, tactical, physical, mental, and social. So, what do you need to be technically in order to do this race? Do you need to get some work on your form, on your cadence, on your gait, on your foot strike? Do you need to understand more about the technical information behind nutrition, about kit? This is all the technical part of your particular sport. Trail running is very technical. People think it's easy because you're just running, but it's not. There's endless books on trail running. Get an understanding of what you're going to need to be based on where you are now, and you can say, this is what I've got to do to improve technically. Tactically as well. Thinking like, what is going to be your race plan as far as expenditure of effort, as far as when you're going to be taking on nutrition in order to complete that particular race. These are critical components. Physically, you're going to need to know how far you can run without actually having any pain the next day. So if you're doing a multi-stage ultramarathon, you may well need to be able to run a marathon without being sore at all the next day. And I would suggest that's pretty important if you're going to be able to do that. So you know that therefore you need to be able to run back-to-back marathons day in, day out without being sore. Therefore that's your physical target in advance of the performance. Mentally is like what we're doing here, setting yourself up for what we call justifiable confidence. Justifiable confidence is you've done the work to get there and you have a belief in yourself that you can do it. Arrogance is when you're not justified to be there in the first place. So you turn up an ultramarathon and you can't even run 20 Ks. That's probably just arrogance. But justifiable confidence is you've done what it takes in order to be there. You can be confident and you can have a belief in yourself in order to complete the race. The second part of mental performance is in trail running. It's about having a great flow state when you're running. Some athletes get this through the cadence of their footsteps. Others get it through their breathing rate. Others get it through where their attention is in time. It doesn't matter. Trigger some sort of flow state so you can go away and get long distances while you're in a flow state. This is very important and something we'll probably work on later on in the series. The last thing is social. And this is just so important. It goes back to what I was talking about consequence and congruency as well. You can just ensure that all the relationships that are really stakeholders in what you're undertaking are fully aligned with what you want to achieve. You can leverage your commitment to it by making a public commitment to the fact that you're going to achieve some really aspirational goal. And for some people, that's just a massive leverage in their motivation because they can't, almost don't want to fail in front of all their family and friends. And, connecting with the charity is the other part of that. So connecting to a contribution to society or culture at large is very important if you want to leverage your motivation. Some people don't require it. Some people couldn't do it without it. It's whatever, it's up to you. So, look, I hope these things have helped and, have a crack at that template and put your comments on the blog and let's see what we can come up with. Good luck.